But, you know, the idea of the BBC being part of some conspiracy, was Liz Truss nodding to that the other day with her anti-growth coalition and talking about people in North London townhouses getting cars to the BBC? I don't know, but certainly other conversations, other talk of that reflects, so Farage as well, getting into bed with Alex Jones, those perhaps, while also appearing on Question Time, that obviously gives a validity to Alex Jones that he didn't deserve. Maybe those were points where the rest of us should have actually got moving a little bit quicker. 11:43 is the time. No one moves quicker than Theo Usherwood, LBC's political editor.
Only one story today.
And really?
Is, of course,
are you basking in the warm glow of going viral?
Not particularly.
No? Okay.
I didn't get a dopamine hit.
People were very fond of your facial expression when I suggested that in order to understand my analogy, we had to pretend we were married. Your eyebrows went north at a rate of knots at that point.
I think I did a sort of thing where I sort of clutched my brow.
Yes.
So, yes. Anyway.
What's today's story?
Today's story is, how long does Liz Truss have left as Prime Minister? And I think what seems to have happened post-PMQs, post the 1922 committee meeting last night, is it seems to be a Rubicon has been crossed. And that Liz Truss now, from conversations I've been having amongst MPs, amongst those speaking, and Number 10 is silent at the moment, have put in calls, but it feels like there's a decision's been made to move to a new leader. The question is, what is the plan? What is the mechanism to do that, keeping it away from the membership?
Yeah.
Because what they don't want to do is to do what happened.
Is inflict another leader, is inflict another election.
Precisely.
That most people have no
And the
part
feeling
in.
is, from those that we're speaking to, that back in the summer they decided to get rid of Boris Johnson, but they didn't actually have a plan to put it right by electing somebody as Prime Minister, knowing, of course, the membership would have the final say, who could actually introduce a change of direction when it comes to presenting what is actually possible. So they're looking at it in terms of, it was put to me, the Pope and the Vatican. And you have smoke rising out of the Vatican.
You do.
And then you have an announcement of a new leader. But that, of course, will need a rule change.
Why?
Because Liz Truss
Could be
has
done on a nod and a wink, couldn't it?
They'd have to get Sir Graham Brady to change the 1922 committee rules, because at the moment she has 12 months from the moment she became Prime Minister.
Get rid, as opposed to, I mean, they could do what they did with Johnson and just submit so many letters from senior positions in government.
Well, it was the cabinet that pulled.
They
could
do that still. Unlikely to at the moment.
Yeah, and then everybody would have to, and then everybody would refuse to join. But that would, if at the moment it's with the MPs rather than with the cabinet ministers. And if the MPs can, they would change the rules. Somebody I spoke to said they think she'll probably be gone by Christmas.
Well, I
you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. Actually, I mean, I just thought it was so quick. Christmas. It was 7-1 when I decided whether or not to place a large bet on it. So we'll have to wait and see. Well, I'm not giving away any more than that. I don't know what it is now. Have you looked at what it is now?
No.
Okay.
But that's it. If it gets to
7-1 are quite long odds. That was only 2 days ago.
Wow. Right. Yeah. Well, that's if they move before Christmas.
Yeah, we shall see. Okay, quiz time.
Okay.
Is Nadine Dorries currently pro or anti Liz Truss?
If I get this correctly, I'm going on the other day. She's anti Liz Truss.
No, mate. 12 minutes ago, she tweeted, MPs circulating a smorgasbord of names about who should replace Truss as PM and not taking into account the fact that they cannot foist upon the British public another Prime Minister that the public have not voted for. A totally untenable position. Hashtag back Liz.
Okay. But it's quite...
It's just amazing, isn't it?
But that's quite instructive of the split within the Conservative Party.
I know, but also the split within her own head. She was anti-Liz Truss at breakfast.
Yes, but
do you know what I think about her?
What?
Obviously, I mean, I'm not going to be unkind. I think that she wants a general election. So that she can take up this seat in the House of Lords that Boris Johnson has arranged for her without having any sense of regret or guilt about causing a by-election that could conceivably, even in mid-Bedfordshire, be disastrous for the Conservative Party.
Yes, she could also... There's a problem also if the Conservative MPs decide to go short, as in get rid of Liz Truss sooner rather than later. That would have effectively, given the Privileges Committee inquiry, exclude Boris Johnson from that running in that contest. If they go long, and then you're getting much closer towards a general election, Boris Johnson's stock as a potential election winner rises.
Are people still, is that still in the game?
It depends where they are. It depends, of course, where the Conservatives are in the polls. But it's
down to 4-1. It's down to 4-1. Or David down in Chester suggests it might be because of how much you put on it a couple of days ago. I didn't say I'd put any money on it at all. Thank you.
So anyway,
no, that's all good. That's all good. 11:47 is the time. 11:52 is the time, and a time indeed for a book recommendation, Emergency State by Adam Wagner. You'll remember that Adam is the human rights barrister who kept us company on occasion during the coronavirus crisis and helped us come to a much better understanding of some of the emergency turns, if you like, that were undertaken by the government. The title of his new book is Emergency State. The subtitle is How We Lost Our Freedoms in the Pandemic and Why It Matters. Adam joins me now. Adam, would you like me to ask you the laziest question in the history of broadcast journalism?
Go for it.
How did we lose our freedoms in the pandemic, Adam Wagner, and why does it matter?
Yeah, well, I mean, how indeed? So what the book's about is the story of the first 2 years of the pandemic through these extraordinary laws, which led to us being told by the government through the criminal law, whether we could leave the house, when we could worship, whether we could protest, if we could work, even who we could hug. And what I've done is I don't sort of go into the detail of whether each restriction was justified, but more about how did we get to the position where in a liberal democracy, you could have a few ministers, and it really only was a few ministers, signing pieces of paper that were taking away rights that we thought really were untouchable.
And that's the crucial point, isn't it? It's not necessarily a case of what was done being undesirable or wrong. It's more about the checks and balances in place to ensure that it is done with consent or with transparency, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, this government, when it came in, had already tried to prorogue Parliament. The Boris Johnson government tried to shut down Parliament for a number of weeks to avoid a vote on the Brexit deal. And I think that when the pandemic came along, they saw scrutiny and accountability as irritations.
Yeah.
And that's really the way things went. It was, a lot of people would expect, this was a deadly virus, or it is a deadly virus. It was unknown. It was a pandemic that really was once in 100-year kind of pandemic. So I think a lot of people would expect there to be chaos for the first few weeks and months, and maybe even lawmaking, emergency lawmaking that didn't fit with all of the usual checks and balances of Parliament and the courts. But this went on for over 2 years. I mean, there were over 100 COVID laws, 109, and I've only been able to find 8 that were approved by Parliament before they came into force.
And so, again, I mean, it's the lawmaking, the scrutiny, and the transparency that is the focus of your book. And you do point out repeatedly that other governments managed to do similar things or to engage similar levels of population protection without chucking scrutiny and transparency under the bus. Is it again, this isn't necessarily a brilliant question, but it's an interesting one. Is it inconvenient for you that we have a different government now on the day that your book comes out? Because one of the great theses of the book is obviously that, and this is why you mentioned the prorogation, is that Boris Johnson has or displayed disdain for scrutiny and transparency, for the normal processes of lawmaking. We saw it in the way he treated his ethics advisor after the inquiry into Priti Patel's bullying, and we saw it, as you say, in the way that he tasked Jacob Rees-Mogg with going to Balmoral to mislead the Queen about the unlawful prorogation of Parliament. Does the alarm bell that you're ringing sound as loud with Liz Truss in Downing Street as it did with Boris Johnson?
I think it does. I mean, I think that you're stuck in any emergency with the leader who happens to be there at the time, and it can be good luck. You
Yes.
can have a PhD scientist like in Germany, or you can have somebody who doesn't see scrutiny as something that they want, like Boris Johnson, but also someone who didn't keep to the rules himself. And I think that's one of the key stories about that I tell also is. that within the government, I described what was happening in 10 Downing Street as like what was happening, like it was happening in a palace rather than a democratic central hub. It was like a palace where patronage was being handed out and the rules were being ignored. But I think that the pandemic exposed, what happened in the pandemic exposed something not just about Boris Johnson's government, but about our state. We're one of the only democracies in the world left with no written constitution. We've got this very old-fashioned and archaic parliament that, with an unelected house, half of the parliament is unelected. We've got a constitutional monarchy, which is very unclear exactly how that all operates. And I think that when you put it all together, along with the increasingly powerful executive, the government, it's a recipe for disaster in an emergency situation. And I think that the point that I come out with at the end is that although it's very tempting to look back, to put this period behind us, it was so traumatic, to not analyze what happened. If we don't face up to it, then there's no reason why, if there's another emergency, whether it's a war or terrorism or an economic shock, that we will go through the same thing again and maybe worse, and maybe with a worse leader than Boris Johnson.
Were you aware before it happened that our unwritten constitution was so vulnerable to this sort of attack?
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, I gave a lecture in the year before the pandemic about the dark and dangerous unwritten constitution. And I described it as a bit like a haunted mansion where you don't know, some of the rooms are completely dark. You don't know whether you're going to walk over a hole in the floor or into a lovely lighted kitchen. And I think that's a bit what our constitution is like. And it can be, people say, oh, well, it's so flexible. It's great because it allows us to get through crises without having to change the rules. And I think there's something in that. But for members of the public, and, for people who know what they're talking about, it's very difficult to navigate and find out exactly what our rights are. And also, I think one of the dangers of it as well is that it means that the courts don't see it as their role to get involved when something goes wrong in the Constitution. And the exception to that, I think, was the prorogation case, but it was the exception to the rules. So I think that there's lots of reasons why we need to think very carefully, first of all, about what happened during the pandemic. So looking at prosecutions, there were thousands of prosecutions, many of them behind closed doors, and fixed penalty notices, over 100,000, many of which were for up to £10,000. I think we've got to look at all that. But we also have to look at the state generally and really face up to the fact that we're not particularly well protected as the public.
I found it, as you know, absolutely astonishing, and more so because I was on the radio every day talking about it. And so if I can be shocked by the quality of your writing and research, then I don't think it's inappropriate to suggest that everybody will be. I mean, I was sitting here every day, some days, talking to you, and yet a lot of this hadn't even occurred to me, let alone being understood by me.
Thank you, and I appreciate you taking the time to read it.
You're very welcome.
And I hope that other people too. It was a privilege to be trying to explain these laws for those 2 years.
Well, and
everybody.
And this is now part of the canon. I shall tweet a link to the book in the looming news bulletin. Adam Wagner, the human rights barrister and now author of Emergency State: How We Lost Our Freedoms in the Pandemic and Why It Matters. Congratulations on publication, and thank you for both your time and your book. It's coming up to 12 noon. Mystery Hour is next on LBC.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation. Mystery Hour with James O'Brien.
It is 4 minutes after 12 and you are listening to James O'Brien on LBC. Our Mystery Hour is upon us, your weekly opportunity to achieve the sort of satisfaction not ordinarily available anywhere else on your radio dial. I'm a bit dazed, I've got to be honest with you. I feel that the political maelstrom in which we find ourselves has buffeted me and battered me a bit. So I'm particularly gleeful and grateful to be wading into the sillier end or the shallower end of our time together. But it remains a serious matter, of course, because there is a prize up for grabs. There is a brand spanking new box fresh Mystery Hour board game waiting for whoever is lucky enough to make my favourite, or clever enough to make my favourite contribution to this week's game. You can get the full terms and conditions for that at lbc.co.uk. But in the meantime, if you're not familiar with this feature, I think you're in for a bit of a pleasant surprise. I do, however, have something a bit strange to say first, and this is as much to my colleagues as it is to you. I'm expecting quite an important phone call from the passport office, and they keep ringing me while I'm on air, and they never ring back in the afternoon when I'm not on air, and therefore, if they ring in the next hour, I'm going to play you a clip of Max Hastings talking to Andrew Marr last night while I answer the phone to the passport office and deal with a deeply important matter. So can my colleagues just confirm that they've understood that I have said that? If they ring, we'll play the Andrew Marr Max Hastings clip from last night because it's really good. How long is it? Can we double check that? It's only 2 minutes 25, but I should be, in the course of that, I should be able to at least sort of make some sort of progress with the passport office. So there we go. I just give you a quick heads up about that. Of course, now that I've actually put in this very professional plan B, there's no way they've rung me every day this week, and I just watch it ringing in front of me while talking to you, thinking, I need to talk to you, I don't know what to do. But anyway, there we go. 6 minutes after 12. Should we just crack on? I think we should. Matt's in Norfolk. How do I pronounce that?
Acle.
Acle. Matt's in Acle.
Acle.
Where's Acle?
In between Norwich and Yarmouth, but we're north of Yarmouth there.
Okay, I like Yarmouth. It's a much maligned corner of the country, Great Yarmouth. It has its moments. It's a lovely beach walk. If you go and park near where that weird football golf game is, and then walk down onto the beach from there, it's lovely. But I grant you, some of the other bits are a little bit tired, aren't they?
Yes. Positive word.
Question or answer?
Right, it's a question. And I hope you, with all your experience in media, can answer it.
Yes.
Why on every single news bulletin, no matter what station you listen to or you watch,
right,
when they talk about the financial markets, why do they use the term and the phrase a short time ago in the city? It's never 5 minutes ago. It's never a certain time. It's always a short time ago in the city. Well, why that phrase?
I don't think it's a mystery, is it? They can't be too specific. Yeah, good point. They can't be too specific because, you know, the game changes. They could, something might make its way up the bulletin. You might have originally planned to do the story third, at which point you'd have last checked the numbers 4 minutes ago, but you're going to do it first, in which case the numbers are only 2 minutes old, or you might do it fifth, in which case the numbers would be 6 minutes old.
So why not a specific time then? Why not time?
I've told you. Oh, you mean at 9:04 today?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know, really. I mean, that's what I mean by I don't know whether it's a mystery or not. It might just be a convention. Also, they're checking it. I mean, it's quite hard to change auto cue. No, it is. Genuinely is quite hard to change auto cue. You can't read the news on the telly without auto cue. It's quite hard to change it, and it's incredibly dangerous to change it mid-bulletin. You can't go faffing about with the auto cue, Matt. Anything could happen. You could end up pausing as long as Liz Truss. It sounds like a Harold Pinter play if you're waiting for the auto cue to catch up. So saying a short time ago gives you a bit of wiggle room, I think.
I'm not sure anything could be that bad, to be honest.
You're not sure what?
I'm not sure anything could be as bad as her, to be honest.
No, I hear you. Probably most people would be able to cope with a changing auto cue without pausing for as long as Liz Truss does in the course of a perfectly normal interview. But I'll put it on the board, but I don't think you're going to achieve satisfaction.
Fair enough. Well, I'll take your answer as
take it for now. I'm not going to take a round of applause at the moment because we'll wait for someone who actually writes the bullies to tell us. Maybe we could possibly even get Simon Conway or Holly Harris involved in this if they might not even have noticed it. Thank you, Matt, in Acle. I've never heard of Acle. I thought I knew my way around that part of Norfolk really well. Is it tiny, Acle, Matt?
It's a little market town,
It's
village.
A market town, not how many pubs?
2.
Okay, yeah, all right. I think 3 pubs and above, I'd be familiar with it when we're in that particular corner of Norfolk. But a single pub, no guarantees. Thank you, mate. Samantha's in Harrow. Samantha, question or answer?
It's a question, James.
Carry on.
Hi. this is very important, just like your passport question.
Yes. Hang on, check my phone.
Aluminium
All clear.
foil.
Yes.
Aluminium foil. When you have like cooking aluminium foil on a roll, it has a shiny side and a matte side. And which is the right side, and why are they two different?
The right side for what?
For using it.
So if you let's imagine a salmon steak, shall we, Sam?
Yeah,
Salmon, we could call it.
exactly.
If you are wrapping up a salmon steak before baking it in the oven with a little sprinkle of oil and perhaps a slice of lemon, bit of salt and pepper, what should be on the outside, the shiny bit or the matte bit?
Yeah, and there's no instructions on any of the boxes.
No, I don't. Well, I presume it doesn't matter
the right
much.
side.
I don't think it matters much.
But then why are they different? Why is one shiny and why is one matte? And I was also...
that's the manufacturing process, madam.
No, but then there must be a right and wrong side.
Why?
But they can't both be the same because they're obviously different.
They can. It's a manufacturing process that creates a matte side and a reflective side. That's how it happens.
There must be a right way or wrong way.
Why must there be? Why must there be?
Well, it's the same on. I've noticed on the cheese spread when you have the foil lid seal.
Yeah.
It's got a shiny side and a non-shiny side.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that there's a right side and a wrong side. That just means there's a shiny side. Why must there? Why is this insistence that there must be?
Well, why are they both not shiny or both not matte? Then?
That's because of the manufacturing process.
What? I don't understand.
Well, because they're made on big wheels. So the bit that's touching the wheel is going to be shinier than the bit that isn't.
But then surely
big hot wheels.
Then the instructions on the box of the cooking foil should say, make sure the shiny side is outside.
But why? It makes no difference.
Well, then that doesn't make sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense. The shiny side and the matte... I know nothing, by the way. I could be completely wrong. I apologise for my slightly robust toes. Hang on, I haven't finished telling you what I've made up yet. The shiny side and the matte side is a consequence of the production process, which almost certainly involves big hot wheels and melty metal, right? And it has no bearing whatsoever upon the actual efficacy of the finished foil product. Therefore, ergo, Sam can wrap her salmon either with the shiny side out or the shiny side in, and it will have no bearing whatsoever upon the cooking process. Thank you very much.
I just realised I could have done an experiment and done
two salmons. Yeah, 2 salmons. I think salmon, you'd need something better than... Because salmon, it would be very hard to detect much difference, wouldn't it? With a 20-minute salmon bake. You'd need...
I'm not that expert a cook.
No, well, listen, I think that I'm right.
But there must be a reason.
There is. It's the production process.
I don't think it is.
But what is it then?
I think it's just one side is the right side and the other side is the wrong side, and they don't tell us which. Okay,
well, you're clinging to that. This is a bit like dealing with InfoWars. You're just refusing to acknowledge any possibility that you might be wrong, Sam.
It's just strange that there's a shiny side and a matte side.
Someone's just texted me to say you were wrong about this last time the question was asked, James, as well. So that doesn't bode. That might have been the last question. What was the last question? Short time at no. Okay, so that plays well. That looking good for you now, Sam. It's looking good for you now. I'll put the question on the board.
I just want my salmon to be done correctly, you know.
Well, yeah,
so
but I don't think it's going to make any difference to your salmon, but I will try and find out for you. Oh, I will. I will endeavour to. No, thank you very much. Foil, right side or wrong side, shiny side or matte side. 12:13 is the time. Paul's in Colchester. Paul, question or answer?
Hello, James.
Hello,
why
Paul.
Why do we say things are old? As in, it's a funny old game. It's funny old weather.
Right, wait there a sec. Who put this through? Who put this through? Which one of you put this through? Sorry, Paul. I'm just doing a little bit of team management. What funny old game? Why do we say old?
Why do we say things are old when we're describing things? He gave me a funny old look.
I don't know.
No, neither do I.
No, I know, but I don't think it's a question suitable.
Don't you?
No.
Fair enough.
No, I mean, I feel bad now. I mean, you know, They put you through, like the first fella as well, short time ago. What was that? Yeah.
Well,
old.
I mean, we do say old in lots of contexts.
Well, I think,
know what it means.
Yeah, well,
in
you
that
do know what it
context.
means. I mean, in one sense, it's obviously a way to convey the fact that this is a long-established trope. So it's a funny old game. Oh, football, eh? It's a funny old game. You've watched so much football over the years that you've been led to the conclusion that it's a funny old game. Therefore, it's an old game. It's not just a funny game.
Funny old weather.
Well, because I think I've never heard anyone say that.
The weather forecasters say it.
They do not.
It's going to be. Hey, I have heard them say it.
They can't be dealing in old weather. What use is that to everybody? They've got to give you the new weather, haven't they? It's
absolutely.
a forecast.
Yes, so why do they say it's old weather? They do say this.
I suppose the same thing applies, doesn't it? They've watched the weather for a long time. They've realised it's an unpredictable old business, even though their job is to predict it, and therefore they've concluded that it's a funny old business, the funny old weather.
Okay, well, maybe. I don't know.
Oh.
Well, sorry if it wasn't. Sorry if it's an old
No, you
question.
do not you apologise, Paul. That is not how this works. It is you got through quality control.
Okay,
That's not your fault.
Yes.
That's the fault of quality control.
Okay.
Why do we say old when we say things like funny old game or apparently funny old weather? 0345 6060 Yeah. It's not vintage so far, this week's Mystery Hour, is it? 12:16 is the time.
Mystery Hour on LBC with James O'Brien. Call 0345 6060 973.
It is 19 minutes after 12. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC. I'm not going to recap on the questions that are on the board so far because they're a bit rubbish. So I'll wait. Pete's in Brentwood. Pete, pressure's on now. Question or answer?
I've got a question for you, James.
Yes.
How do toenails, or indeed fingernails, grow back when they've been removed completely?
Why wouldn't they?
Well, I know they do. I want to know how do they? Because I lost mine.
Yeah.
And I just can't see how it's coming back. Is there like a root or a follicle type thing, and it grows from the base and out? How will it come back?
What did you lose, your toenail or your fingernail?
I lost my big toenail.
Oh. Did you drop something on it?
I was trying to impress the kids.
Yeah.
I just put up a basketball hoop in the garden, and I said, "Hey kids, look at this!" And I went to slam dunk it. I was wearing a flip-flop, stubbed my toe.
Always flip-flops.
Yeah, stubbed my toe right into a brick step, blood pouring out from underneath it. Oh, and over a period of 2 months, probably, it gradually sort of got looser and looser until a couple of days ago I had to pull it off.
Oh, that should have been a warning about that. It should not have gone there. I was not expecting that. Was there a lot of blood at the time?
Yes.
So the kids didn't laugh then?
No. I went down in their estimation.
If it wasn't for the blood, they'd have been having hysterics, I imagine, wouldn't they? But the blood sort of changes the picture. Been watching old episodes of Outnumbered, which I highly recommend to anybody who wants a proper belly laugh on a regular basis. Oh, that is gross. So if the whole thing came out, what's the new one grown from, as it were? It's a better question than I thought.
At the moment, it's just like a sort of, I don't want to get too graphic, but it's just like
it's very lumpy. It's a bit late for that, Pete.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll just go all in then.
Yeah.
It's sort of lumpy, harder than skin, but still a bit soft.
Right, but it's coming through. And you keep it wrapped up.
I've got nothing at the moment apart from this.
Well, how do you know it's going to grow back?
Well, someone who lost one has told me that theirs grew back.
Was that a big toenail?
That was a big toenail.
All right.
So it does happen, but I just can't see how it's going to happen. So you pull a hair out, and you get the root, then the hair would not grow back. We imagine. Hair and toenails are made of the same stuff, aren't they? They're both made of keratin. I remember that from school. All right, that was pretty gross, Pete, to be honest. You should have given me a quick... No, it can't be helped. It's all down to quality control. This should come with a trigger warning, really, that kind of contribution. So how come it grows back? I mean, it's a fairly straightforward question. I didn't realise toes could cringe, but judging by my inbox at the moment, toes up and down the country have just gone... Steve's in Swindon. Steve, question or answer?
Got a question, please, James.
Carry on, Steve.
Why is a tea towel called a tea towel?
Well, we need to distinguish it from other towels, don't we?
Yeah, but why tea towel?
Because it's what you have it with your tea, obviously.
You have it with your breakfast as well. You do your breakfast
Not
pots, your dinner
necessarily.
pots, you do all-
Not necessarily. You're thinking it now as a tea towel as something to dry up with.
Yeah.
Well, I think that might be your first mistake, Steve. I think of a tea towel as being something that goes over the teapot.
That's a tea cosy, not a tea towel. And you're from the Midlands.
Oh, is that what they call them in Swindon? Swindon. I don't know the answer to that. I'll try and find out. Why is a tea towel called a tea towel? Why is a tea towel called a tea towel? Because yeah, all right, you're on. I mean, it might be. I can't believe I've never thought about that before. I shall find out.
I just thought of it the other day.
I shall find out. Why can you never find one when you want one? Is another question that we
Exactly.
could
That was what led to the question.
Where do they go? They're up there. Where the hell do they go? Steve, I shall do my best. Why do we call a tea towel a tea towel? How does a toenail grow back when the whole thing has been removed? Why do we say old? In the context of funny old game or funny old weather. Foil, is there a good side and a bad side? As in, should you be wrapping stuff a certain way to maximise cooking efficiency? And why do newsreaders say a short time ago when they're talking about markets or currencies or matters fiscal? Joan's in Potter's Bar. Joan, question or answer?
Question, James.
Carry on, Joan.
Hi, thank you. Right, a candle. If you light a candle in a jar, Yankee candle, whatever, where does the wax go once it's all gone? Where does it go in the air? Do we breathe it in? I don't know where it goes.
Is it a full moon, Mikey, at the moment? Is it a full moon, Mikey, at the moment? Do you know?
Why?
I'm not. I'm just asking Mikey. I'll be back with you in a minute, Joan. Is it a full moon? Is it a full moon at the moment? Is it? It is it? I think it might be. Okay. Well, where does wood go? Or coal or charcoal?
Up the chimney. I don't know.
Yeah, into the atmosphere. So it's like, think of the wax as a fuel. Where does petrol go?
Okay, so we just breathe it all in.
There's a chemical reaction that breaks it down into gases which float away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Are you sure? You sure?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of all this.
Well, everything that
stuff.
burns, it's combustion. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's a chemical reaction.
Yeah. Okay.
So you'll probably get some
water.
water, which will go away as steam. You might get some carbon dioxide. Yeah. With petrol, you get nitrous dioxide. There's all sorts of business going on, but the solid is being burnt, and just like with wood, you'll have a bit of ash left. You'll have a bit of candle wax left at the end, but most of it is going to have just. Is it sublimated? Is it sublimated? Is that the word when a solid turns into a gas? Nor have I. But it's combusted is what it's done. Combusted.
Okie dokie. So if you burn a lot of candles in your house, it doesn't matter because it just evaporates into the air.
Well, no. I mean, it depends how many candles. You wouldn't, with the power cuts coming and things like that,
exactly.
Yeah, you'd need some ventilation, I'd imagine, if you had loads going, like a sort of medieval banquet or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think that's going to be much of an issue in Potter's Bar in the near to middle distance, Joan.
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
You happy though?
So.
Are you sure?
I don't know. Not really.
What do you mean not really? Where it goes? All right, let me try.
It's a solid. I know wood's solid, but if you're putting it in the fire, it just.
It goes. The wax goes.
Yeah.
What if it's not? But what if it's not in the fireplace? What if you've accidentally set fire to some wood in the middle of the sitting room floor, like a candle?
Then you're in trouble.
Yeah, but where does it go then?
It burns everything.
Oh no! All right, the candle wax goes to the same place in the sky that the petrol, the wood, and the coal goes to.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So we're doing in the ozone layer then.
I'm taking a round of applause now, Joan. And my work here is done, whether you realise it or not. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you. It was four nights ago, apparently, the full moon. That's near enough, isn't it? You can tell by the questions. Thank you, Joan. Have a good day. Anthony is in Tring. Question or answer, Anthony?
It's a question, Jim. Listen, I'm thrilled to talk to you. I love your books and I love your show.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
And I'm finally on your radio station, but not from one of your your discussions, but I've got a question, and it's maybe a bit of a theme that we're just talking about. Where do things go? Because listen to this one. Not long ago, I had some new tyres fitted.
Oh yeah.
And obviously your tyres have gone down about a centimetre. Of rubber has disappeared, and there's millions of cars on the road. And I'm wondering, where has that rubber gone?
Yeah.
It's not at the side of the road because I've looked.
Well, it might be though.
It isn't.
It will be. There's dust, isn't there? It could be a dust. It's going to be dust.
But can you imagine how much rubber we're talking about here?
Yes, and then it rains.
Of cars.
And it rains, and it gets washed down the drains, and it all disappears. That's why roads are, irrigated or whatever the word is. Do you know what I feel like?
Come on, tell me. What do you feel like?
This mystery hour today, I feel like like everyone else is stoned, and I'm not.
I can't hear you.
Well, I didn't say anything. I'd finished.
Oh.
You see what I mean?
What do you mean?
Well, I just the questions are all thematically similar, aren't they? It's all. I feel this might have been planned in advance.
Well, I think you're.
Where does all the candle wax go? And then I express a bit of dissatisfaction with that question. And up next, where does all the tyre rubber go?
But James, your staff rung me to tell me to ask the question.
They did not.
No, I know they didn't.
Let's go. Conspiracy theories were in the last hour. This is Alex Jones on line 4 asking, oh my days. All right, where does all the... I mean, it obviously goes to where I said it goes. It can't possibly go anywhere else. It's like Jones candle wax, isn't it? You eliminate the impossible and whatever you're left with, it must be the truth. So it comes off in small amounts. It gets... I get some.
So when there are no drains around, so we must find it somewhere.
The wind, it blows away. It's in such tiny particles, isn't it? It's in such tiny quantities that Graham just tweeted me. You're overlooking the possibility of candle heaven. So it goes to tyre rubber heaven, and it goes with all the tyre rubber angels to look after it. Oh dear.
Okay.
I'll put it on the list. I mean, where else could it go if it doesn't just get caught up in the general atmosphere?
Well, listen, I'm asking a question.
I've got a Q&A tonight at the Bewdley Festival. I hope the questions are better than this, I tell you. Otherwise, there's going to be trouble. 12:30 is the time. Amelia Cox is here now with your headlines.
This is LBC Mystery Hour with James O'Brien. Call 0345 6060 973.
12:34 is the time. A selection of questions awaiting answers. Questions of exceptional quality and class. Why do newsreaders say that? Matt, mate, when you rang in, if you'd said to me this will be the best question you get for half an hour, I'd have laughed in your face. But here we are. Why do newsreaders say a short time ago when referencing could we tell Amelia Cox she's allowed to answer this question? I'm not going to get her again, are we? Next time I throw to her, it'll be Sheila will be doing it, not me. But the newsreaders, colleagues, friends, Romans, are allowed to answer this question. Why is the foil shiny on one side and matte on the other? And, subsequent questions. This is probably my favourite question. Why do we say old, as in funny old game, or funny old weather? Toenails, how do toenails grow back when the whole thing has been removed? Why do we call tea towels tea towels? Where does candle wax go? I could give myself a round of applause for that, but, and where does tyre rubber go? Can we just agree there'll be no more questions about why do we say ... and where does something go? Can we agree on that now? Thank you. Maybe have that as a permanent rule. Could we? One a week maximum. Why do we say and where does the go? Yeah? This is not a very good time to plug the board game really either, is it? I think there is a board game and it's actually brilliant. But if you're tuning into Mystery Hour for the first time today, you're going to have to take my word for it. You can get hold of it at mysteryhour.co.uk. You even get a penny change out of a crisp £20 note. It's superb. Christmas is coming as well. People, get it on your Christmas lists, children. I'll make sure Santa has a capacious supply. There is a warehouse in Lapland awaiting delivery of Mystery Hour. Christmas is coming. Something for your dad, something for your mum, something for your auntie, something for everybody. 12:36 is the time. Jeff's in Southport. Jeff, question or answer?
It's an answer.
Carry on.
Well, after years of screaming answers at the radio when you're on,
yes,
I've ended up with the answer to the toenail.
Oh, sensational. Sensational.
The best I can come up with through personal experience.
Right.
Toenails do grow back. I've had mine surgically removed about 4 times until they take the nail bed off, which is part of the bone. And when they take that off, the nail never grows back again.
So as long as the nail bed is there, the toenail will grow back. The toenail
will keep on coming back. And unfortunately, when they do that, and I was a young lad, I was probably about 17, 18, with the nail removed on holiday on a beach, trust me, your big toe doesn't look like a big toe anymore. It looks more like an appendage that shouldn't be on your toe. It can be quite embarrassing.
Yeah. What was your condition, if you don't mind me asking? What was your...
It was the old-fashioned ingrown toenail.
Was it?
And,
but 4 times, mate. I'd have thought after one you'd have been on your toes. Sorry. I thought you'd have been on guard a bit more about the prospect of it happening.
I think the cause of it was being a fashion icon.
Was it?
Wearing platforms. I had one pair of platforms when I was about 14-year-old.
Gosh.
And it was either them that did it or my Birmingham bags. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, you're winkle pickers. Could do it. So, gosh.
Yeah.
All right, you're on. I like it. No, so and if it's gone as a result of someone dropping something on it, then the nail bed will be safe. The nail bed will be safe.
Yeah, it's just a bit of the bone on the end of the toe where the nail grows from. If you scrape that off or take that off, that's it. The nail will never come back again.
Fantastic.
But if you just pull the nail out, it will come back again and again.
Round of applause for Jeff. And a bit wincy that. I'm glad we've done away with that one, mate. And good luck to you. What a debut. I look forward to your further contributions to the programme. Satisfaction for Pete and a round of applause for Jeff. Alan's in Amersham. Alan, question or answer?
It's an answer, James.
Carry on, Alan.
And good morning to you.
Hello.
It's an answer to the aluminium foil question.
Oh, yes.
Why is one side matte and the other side shiny? In the manufacture, the aluminium, as it is rolled between rollers to make it thinner, and it's wound onto spools. And when they get down to the thickness they need, close to what they need for the foil, it's very difficult to roll it any thinner. So what they do is they put two strips together and roll the two of them together. The rolls are shiny, and the shiny side is the side that's in contact with the rolls. And when they separate the 2 strips into 2 individual coils, the bit in the middle where the 2 bits of metal were in contact is the matte side, because it doesn't have the contact with the shiny rolls.
So that would be the outer bit when it's rolling.
The matte side is the bit in between, in the middle of the sandwich. You imagine rolling as a sandwich, 2 bits of aluminium, and then peeling them apart. Where they peel them apart in the middle, it's the matte side.
Of course it is.
The outside is the shiny side.
I see. So they put the 2 sheets together for the production process, and then separate them after. So I was basically, are the rollers hot?
No, they're not. They can't roll at that stage.
And the metal's not melty.
Aluminium hot when it's very thick, because it's much more efficient. But when you start getting down to thin,
foil, you've got to have it solid. It has to be cold. So apart from the bit,
it gets a bit warm in the mill, but
of course it does.
It is basically a cold rolling process.
And so I was right, but accidentally right, because it's got nothing to do with Hot Wheels or melty metal, but it has got everything to do with what comes.
Melty metal goes right back in the beginning.
Yeah. So it's all about what comes into contact with the roller.
That's right, yeah. The shiny side is in contact with the roller, and the matte side is where the 2 rollers are in contact with each other.
Yeah, okay. So it's like a mangle.
Yeah.
That's the bit I missed. I had it...
It's like a mangle, yeah.
It's like a mangle.
That's a good analogy,
Thank
James.
you, mate. Yeah, cheers.
The other thing is, I think she asked about which side was best. There's no recommendation on that.
Thank you. Get in!
As a kind of somebody who's worked on surface technology, I would say that the rough side is more likely to stick to something than the shiny side. So if you want a salmon steak on it and you don't want
put the shiny on the inside.
Put the shiny side away from the surface of the fish.
There is such a thing as non-stick foil, but we're not talking about that today.
Yeah, there is non-stick foil.
We're not talking about that today. We're not talking. What are your qualifications, Alan? Although I think I know already.
I worked for a long time in the aluminium industry and also worked with aluminium foil manufacture.
I can't say fairer than that. Big round of applause for Alan, please.
Thank you very much,
No,
James.
thank you very much. And that has single-handedly rescued this week's Mystery Hour. The quality of that answer, the detail and the qualifications combining to create a moment of Mystery Hour magic. 12:41 is the time, and I am if Sam is not satisfied with that, then she's not allowed to listen to Mystery Hour for a month, all right? Jay's in Coventry. Jay, question or answer?
It's a question, James.
Carry on, Jay.
Okay, so why, when you have a mint or a strong mint and you drink cold water afterwards, why does the water seem a lot colder?
I know this. It's menthol, isn't it?
I think it's something to do with the menthol.
It's not just the water.
Why does that affect you? How does that affect you differently?
It's not just water. Your mouth feels cooler when you eat a mint. Your whole mouth, everything is cool. Your mouth feels cooler in the same way that if you eat a chili, your mouth feels hotter. You don't have to drink water to get the effects of a chili kicking around your gob. It spreads it around a bit, maybe, because the molecules that are activating the receptors are in there. So,
which receptors are those?
They're your pH 24s, aren't they?
Yeah, I thought it was pH 23s.
No, 24s, mate. 23s are the other ones.
Yeah, I thought that's the chilies ones, not the menthol ones.
I am right, although I made up the pH 24 element of it. But
Really?
Yeah, no, I did. I know, hard to believe. I am right, but you are not obviously going to be satisfied with my meanderings. You want to hear from someone who explains it in slightly more scientifically literate terms.
Somebody who knows. Yeah.
Well, no, I know, but I can't explain it in a way that conveys successfully that I know.
Okay.
That's not the same as not knowing, Jay.
I think it is.
No, it's not. No, because I know. But I cannot convey what I know in a way that successfully establishes that I know.
Yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense.
Thank you, Jay.
Should we see if there's anyone who does know the answer instead?
No. We'll see if there's anybody who does know, and they can successfully convey that they know in a way that demonstrates that they know. That's what we're actually looking for, Jay.
Okay, all right. I should have asked where the mint goes.
Where does all the mintiness go? When you've eaten a mint. Don't ask that. Don't know. Not funny. Don't put the phone down. Don't ring. Don't. Thank you, Jay. Craig's in Batley. Craig, question or answer?
Question, please.
Go on.
Have you ever seen a baby pigeon?
Are you winding? You are. All right. It's just winding me up now.
Genuinely.
No, I know. It's not your fault. No, I know.
I'm sorry.
I have. I saw one the other day.
Where?
Honestly, outside KFC in Brentford.
Are you sure? Because I'm
absolutely positive, because there's some they're nesting up above on the canopy, and for reasons I wasn't party to, one fell out, and this lovely bloke had picked it up and he was looking after it, and they were trying to work out using KFC furniture whether or not he could get back up in order to put the baby pigeon back in what was clearly the pigeon's nest. I think, to take your questions, I mean, that is actually, I'll take a round of applause for that. That's bloody definitive. Thank you. I think that they must grow very, very quickly. That must be part of it, and they nest quite carefully in order to avoid predators. They probably get a magpie would go for a baby pigeon, probably. So they grow very quickly. They reach adolescence and they look like a grown-up pigeon very quickly. And for the small amount of time that they're actually in the nest, they're very carefully hidden away to avoid predators.
I'll give you that one.
I'll take another round of applause. You see, trying to sabotage. Yeah, thank you, Craig. Good work, mate. 12:45 is the time.
Mystery Hour with James O'Brien. This is LBC.
can't do this every week. I can't rely on my comedy chops to rescue an appalling selection of questions and turn it into radio gold, all right? Back to mystery hour. Robert's in Uddingston, in Glasgow. Robert, question or answer?
It's a question, James.
Carry on.
What shape is a slice of pizza?
It's a triangle.
No, a triangle's got three sides. So
Yeah.
a shape of pizza's got a curve at the bottom.
Yeah, it's still a side.
No, but it's got to be three straight lines to be a triangle.
Well, then it's a triangular prism.
I don't think
It is.
so.
It is.
I'm not.
It's a triangular prism.
What's your qualifications?
Say again?
What's your qualifications?
Genius. Right, I know what a triangle is and I know what a prism is. And I'm 99.9% confident that the two geometrical concepts can be combined to create a triangular prism, which would be a three. Yeah.
I'm not buying it, James.
Really? No, all right. Well, I mean, it's a great phrase. Well, you're not going to get anything better than that, are you?
Well, I would have hoped that somebody had put a name to the shape.
I just did.
No, that's a combination of two names, isn't it?
All right, then. How about a flattened cone?
No, well, a cone is a three-dimensional shape. You know, a
Yeah,
cone
I flattened it. So it's a slice of pizza, actually, when you come to think. It's a flattened cone. It's a flattened cone.
I'm not buying it, James.
All right, I think I know the answer, but only because someone sent it to me. So we're quite short of time.
Right, okay.
Do you want it? I'm cheating, so I can't have a round of applause for this.
So you looked it up?
No, I haven't looked it up, but 10 people.
Right.
I mean, sometimes my inbox, I get such repetition in my inbox that I think it must be true.
Right, okay.
Circular.
Right,
it's a circular sector.
Oh, that's disappointing.
It's not great, is it? But I don't know what you were expecting. Someone said a teardrop. That's the kind of thing you were looking for, isn't it? You were looking for something a bit romantic.
Yeah, something with a kind of specific name. You know,
I still think it's a triangular prism.
Right.
But circular sector has come in a lot. Someone's written it's a sector, you prune. And a triangular prism is more like a piece of Toblerone. It's nothing like a pizza. The circular sector, Adrian says circular sector.
Right.
So it's circular. Well, you can't blame me if you don't like the answer.
No,
it's blooming true, man.
It's just as if I was hoping to learn a new word or a new shape, but that's.
Well, but you have. You didn't realise those two words could go together before, so you've learnt a new phrase.
Yeah.
Circular sector. Circular sector.
Yeah, better than nothing.
It's all right. A round of applause for everyone texting in.
Thank you, Jim.
No, thank you, Robert. Circular sector. No, you wanted something pithier. I know what you mean. You wanted like a phrase you hadn't heard before, like a sort of, I don't know, a pleatzer. A pleatzer. What do you call a piece of pizza? What's the shape? It's a pleatzer. A pleatzer of pizza. David in Wallington, question or answer?
An answer, James.
Oh,
for
thank
the
God for
tyre
that.
dust.
Oh, marvellous. Carry on.
It's a huge political issue across Europe at the moment, actually, where the stuff goes and how to manage it. Yeah, big deal. I was on a seminar in Brussels earlier on this week, and that was the first session of the whole thing on the Sustainable Development Goals. Right. But to answer the question, some of it gets airborne. Around about 10% by mass gets airborne, and around about 90% by mass ends up on the road. But it's not just rubber on the road. It's a combination of rubber and minerals, because the tyre rubber interacts with the road to become a mixture of rubber and minerals.
Okay.
And that could be either pure rubber or pure mineral. And that stuff gets washed to the gutters to the side of the road. You get a lot more of it around junctions, around traffic lights.
Because people are braking more.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Because the grip, the energy of braking or cornering translates into the production of that tyre dust. And so you tend to get these hotspots, so-called, around about different bits of traffic.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and that's microplastics, if you like. And,
and that just gets washed away. Now bring it back to the EU, because is it the airborne bits? Or who'd have thought that they were involved?
It gets washed away, and it ends up in sludge farms, sewage sludge. It ends up in fields. It ends up in all sorts of places. Some of it ends up in oceans and rivers.
Okay, so what's the environmental concern? The airborne stuff or the landborne stuff, or both?
Both, because if you go to the Pacific Northwest of the USA and look up coho salmon, COHO, they're being killed by this stuff.
Oh Lord, because it gets into the sea. Because it gets into the sea.
It gets into the rivers and the sea, yeah, and some nasty stuff called 6-PPD leaches out of it, and that becomes highly toxic, so-called. Yeah, it's a really hot topic actually in our business.
Well, what is your business? Well, it leads me to my final question. What are your qualifications?
I run a company called Tyre Industry Research, and this is probably the maximum topic at the moment in the whole industry.
I mean, how many people are in your sort of line of work, roughly?
Me.
Is it literally just you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right. Do you listen to Mr. Hour often, or did someone alert you to this question?
No, I listen to it every week, and every week I listen out for tyre questions.
Right.
And
your business is actually called Tyre Industry Research, and it's basically just you.
Yeah, tyre with an I, not tyre with an E, with a Y.
Okay.
But yeah, it is.
I've got a problem, David.
Go on.
You know that Ray Liotta is obviously in your mind at the moment, and it's in my mind.
Well, you gave me one before. So
did I really? What was that? Was that about tyres as well?
It was, yeah.
Well, I don't. Well, okay.
Pressure.
Well, that solved that. Oh, yeah. I remember. There's no reason why you can't have two. I just feel that this week's Mystery Hour has been a bit
naff. No, I know what you're saying.
So I just thought you might be yanking my chain. I think that when... No, I know you're not. And that's why I'm going to give you another Ray Liotta. I think you deserve it. Because, I mean, it's insane that you would be... I mean, I know that you listen regularly. I forgot that you'd answered before, but you're clearly not part of some elaborate hoax that's been undertaken today by my own collegues. I wish the passport. I wish the passport office had rung this week. I tell you, I was banking on that. Can we have a Ray Liotta for David?
I'm Ray Liotta, and you're listening to James O'Brien on LBC. If you build it, they will come.
Fantastic, and a round of applause as well. Well played, David. Great stuff. Keep up the good work. Chris is in Croydon. Chris, question or answer?
It's an answer, James. It's an answer.
Okay, good. Carry on.
It's an answer to your menthol making your mouth feel cold question.
Yes.
It's PRP, mate.
PRP, not PH13. It's PRP. I knew it was a P. I got my P's. What?
TRP,
oh,
mate.
TRP, mate. TRP, mate.
Yeah.
So T for Timothy.
T for Timothy, that's right.
Oh, right. I got it all wrong then.
Yeah, it's a protein in your mouth called TRPM8 or
That's
TRP, mate.
Mate,
and
mate.
It gets activated.
I thought you were calling me mate, but it is actually called TRP, mate.
It is, yeah. I knew you'd like it.
I do, mate.
Yeah, so they get activated when menthol's in your mouth, and when you drink water, it just activates more of them, so it tricks your mouth into thinking it's cold.
Do we know what the evolutionary purpose of it is?
There actually isn't. No, it's just another sense that we have as humans.
Yeah, I like it. Qualifications?
I'm a biomedical sciences graduate.
There we go. TRP, mate, all day long. Round of applause, please, for Chris. Squeezing another. John's in New Cross. Question or answer?
Answer.
Carry on.
So a slice of pizza is called a sector.
Yeah, circular sector.
On a 2D plate, it's called a sector.
Yeah.
It would be a sectagonal prism on a 3D plane.
Would it?
Yeah, but it's called a sector. It's got an arc and 2 radii.
Qualifications?
I trained as a primary school teacher about 6 years ago, and a 10-year-old asked me, so I looked it up then and always remembered.
Yeah, that'll do. Have a round of applause.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And finally, Andrew in Stockport. Question or answer?
It's an answer, James, for the short time ago question.
Oh, good man. Go on.
So the bulletin is written a short time before it's read out.
Yes.
So by the time the newsreader gets to the studio and reads out the latest FTSE 100 share index figure, it might be out of date.
Yes. But the question then needs to address why they don't say at 9 or 8:58 this morning, because that just sounds silly, doesn't it?
It does sound a bit daft, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
it's a fairly, I suppose it covers you. And also, if you said 5 minutes ago the FTSE share index was up 23 at 5972, you'd sound like you were reading out of date news.
Yeah, so you just say a short time ago, and also you can't be they can't have you for a short time ago. If you said 5 minutes ago, and someone actually checked, and it was 6 minutes ago, and it had been going everywhere because Kwasi Kwarteng was Chancellor of the Exchequer, it was going up and down like a fiddler's elbow. You could get yourself into all sorts of bother.
I used to read the news on the BBC, and I got the figure off CFAX 5 minutes before the bulletin, walked up to the studio and read it out.
That's perfect. Perfect qualifications as well. Final round of applause. I feel we saved it. Thanks to Andrew and others. I feel we saved it this week. But I'm not giving out a board game. It was too rubbish. I'm not giving. Can I do that? What? Do you think I should give one out? I didn't.
Bit early for Scrooge, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know who to give it to. Do you know? I give it to. Yeah, well, it has to be the Ray Liotta guy, doesn't it? It has to be David. He gets the ball game. Thank you, Shiel. 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 Thank you, Shiel.